So this is a topic that has been very, very long overdue, and that is, why do I like Dragon Ball GT? I have mentioned several times over like the past year or so, like, yeah, I like Dragon Ball GT, and a lot of people go, wait, you like GT? Why would you ever like GT? What's so great about GT? GT's horrible, everyone hates GT, and I'm just like, I give like a couple of vague reasons why I like the series, but I never really gone more in depth about it. I feel like that's really, really overdue. Now, first off, let me just go ahead and state that this is not me going, GT's a great series, you're all wrong for disliking it, and here's the reasons why you should like it. No, this is me going, I like GT, these are the reasons I like it. If these things aren't your cup of tea, then you're still not going to like GT. Oh well, you know, I am in no way trying to twist anyone's arm and convince them to like things that they don't like. That's just fucking dumb. This video is solely to explain why I personally like Dragon Ball GT. And like, I think the first thing I have to bring up, it's the most obvious thing, it's the thing I've brought up in the past, is the concepts. There are really great concepts at play in Dragon Ball GT. The Black Star Dragon Balls is a great idea. Bringing back the Safurians and their whole grudge against the Saiyans, that's a great idea. The evil dragons, making the Dragon Balls themselves the enemies, and like, making it be like this concept of like, oh, well, you guys have abused this, MacGuffin so many times, and now this MacGuffin's coming back to haunt you. It's a great fucking idea. Super 17, it exists. Okay, Super 17 isn't a great concept. It is, but it's a fun little, it's a fun little fan servicey thing, and it doesn't bother me. It's not horribly intrusive, but like, just the broader ideas that Dragon Ball GT brings to the table, I really, really like. I also like a lot of the creative decisions that it took with GT. One of the biggest things that a lot of people absolutely fucking hate about GT, I like, and that is making Goku a kid. I adore Kid Goku. I love Dragon Ball. The beginning all the way up to like Piccolo Daimao, or like, all the way up to, I guess, like the side arc. Like, that's like my favorite chunk of this franchise. He's still obviously not like the Kid Goku. A lot of people seem to think it's really detrimental to his character to make him a kid again. I never saw an issue with it, because he's still the same character that he was before. He still has all the same memories, all the same life experiences. It's just now he's in this childlike body. He's more susceptible to gag humor in GT than I feel like he would have been if he had just been left in his adult form. He's more of like a vehicle for like, slapsticky humor and just kind of the silliness that GT likes to indulge in. So, he works for that. And it gives them an opportunity to nerf Goku. They temporarily remove his Super Saiyan 3 and his instantaneous movement. So, it takes Goku and takes him down a couple of levels, at least in like the first half of GT. And just overall, I just think he's like a really fun character to have. Like, like I said, like I enjoy like Kid Goku in GT a lot more than I do like adult Goku in like the majority of like Z. While I'm on topic of characters, holy shit, Baby is one of the absolute best fucking villains in the entire franchise. The only villain I would say is better than him is Zamasu, and by association, Goku Black. But up until very, very recently, I would say Baby was like the best villain in terms of his conception, in terms of his goals and his motivations. He was just a great villain. He did something like very different. It wasn't like, oh yeah, like I want to take over the universe, or I want to destroy the Earth, or I want to fight the strongest guy. He was just like, no, I'm just going to turn all the humans into Safurians by, kind of infecting them with my parasitic, spores, and make a new planet plant, and then, have all, like, basically restore the Safurian race. Like, that was his whole thing. Oh yeah, and obviously, kill Goku and, take over Vegeta's body because, he's the son of the man who wiped out his race, so that makes sense. So yeah, like, he's such a great fucking character. I loved everything about him, and I really feel like he gets not enough credit. Like, everyone seems to think that, like, the only good thing in GT is Super Saiyan 4, and that was it. Everything else sucks. And I'm like, Baby was awesome. Baby was a great fucking character. I really like his character. I think he's a cool concept. He's something that we had never seen before. This kind of parasitic life form that goes, because like, we've seen guys like absorb other characters. This is like someone going inside another person. like almost in this kind of body horror fashion, like going into like their body and just infecting them from the inside and just taking them over and just using their body as his own. And that was just, it was something different. It's something I hadn't seen before. It was something that I thought was really fucking cool. Something else I thought was pretty damn cool is, something that I never hear anyone ever bring up, is that GT kind of gives filler a purpose. Like Baby, the Sufurians. That is from a filler episode of Z. It's going back to that material. So this one-off episode of Z, where Kaio gives this whole backstory and it's never fucking brought up again because it's a filler episode, now is the platform for an entire arc. And then in that arc, they friggin' bring back that purifying water from the Garlic Jr. arc that dispelled the Aquamist. So now like that's come back. So we now have like an arc in GT that just goes back and like goes to the well and like takes like this filler idea and then takes this filler idea and brings it into this arc to build this whole new storyline. I really like that. And speaking of building filler arcs off of little things, I also like the fact that the Evil Dragons arc, Elder Kaioshin is just like, I told you not to fucking abuse the Dragon Balls. I warned you time and time again. I said don't abuse them. You did it anyhow. This is what happens. And they're like, well, we just thought you were being old-fashioned. What the fuck, man? And like the fact that because that is something that he says. He says that in the Majin Buu arc, like near the end of it. It's like, you guys use the Dragon Balls too much. They're not meant to be used like this. And then when the whole thing backfires on him in GT, he harkens back to that statement, now giving that little throwaway line that did this make him seem like he was being this kind of old-fashioned fuddy-duddy, and, gives it some actual weight and meaning into its own arc. It's like, no, like, this shit has consequence. Here are your goddamn consequences. And the fact that, like, once again, it's just taking something little and using that as a platform to just build an entire arc off of, I really liked. It's, once again, going back to the well to mine new ideas out of it. And while I'm on the topic of new ideas, like, GT, like, brings some pretty cool and fun stuff to the table. And it's mostly, like, really weird for Dragon Ball type stuff. Like, you bring in the Power Brothers, and it's like these three goofy fuckers whose powers to make other people dance. Like, I thought, like, I fucking love the Power Brothers. I think they're fucking, like, really funny. I think they're a really, different and unique idea. And they're great gag characters. Love them. But then you also have, like, really weird shit like Sugoroku Space, where Goku, like, gets dropped by Kaioshin while he's in the middle of his Kai teleport, and basically drops Goku into a purgatory board game that he has to play with this other guy. And it's really weird. And then, like, then that other guy ends up like, oh, he's like a space Tanuki. He has a space Tanuki son, and it's just, okay. And now he's just, on the Kaioshin planet, just kind of hanging out now, and it's weird stuff, but it's really creative weird stuff. And then you have, like, Goku gets trapped in hell in the Super 17 arc, and he has to, like, go through all these trials and stuff. And then you have, like, the followers of Lude and, like, Cardinal Mochi Mochi, and you have Doll Toki who turns people into fucking dolls, and it's just like, what the fuck? Really weird, off-the-wall, bizarre shit that just GT comes up with. And I like that. The fact that just, like, that they weren't afraid of this, like, just throw shit at the wall, see what stuck, and just, and it was never stuff that just came out of necessarily, I mean, okay, some of the stuff came out of nowhere, but it never necessarily felt intrusive. It was just like this weird, big, creative idea. Kind of reminds me of some of, like, the filler stuff from Dragon Ball, where you had, like, those two guys who had, like the gourd that, like, sucked people in and, like, turned them into liquid, or you had, like, when Goku, like, went to, like, the demon realm, or whenever he fought Anin, who controlled, like, the eightfold furnace. Like, it's a lot of, like, really weird ideas that I feel harkens back to, like, some of that Dragon Ball filler that I thought, like, Toei got really, really creative with. I always hear people talk about how, like, GT isn't very creative, it's not really original, it just kind of apes Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball and doesn't try to do new things. It's like, Dragon Ball GT did a lot of really weird, unique things, and I really appreciate it for trying to be that weird and unique. And something that's also fucking unique to this series? Death fucking matters. Like, people always say, like, oh man, like, I wish they would have left characters dead in Dragon Ball Z. Like, death just doesn't have any fucking meaning or weight to this, wish everybody back. And then, Dragon Ball GT actually does perma-kill people off. Piccolo makes this big grand sacrifice to save, like pretty much like the universe from like the existence of the Black Star Dragon Ball, so no one could ever use them again. Like, that was like, and then he has this big moving emotional moment with Gohan, like his last words to him. Like, that was some really heavy shit. And then, the same thing goes for Majin Buu. Like, he gets blasted to pieces trying to protect Oob from Baby, and then, his pieces, like, absorb into Oob, and basically, like, gives, his powers to Oob. And so Majin Buu doesn't exist as a character anymore. He's technically not alive. Like, he may as well just be dead for all intents and purposes. And, like, I feel like, people just never bring that up as a positive. In fact, every time, like, I ever hear, like, these characters brought up in GT, it's like, oh yeah, they killed them off. Especially Piccolo. It's like, oh, they killed Piccolo off. Fuck GT. It's like, you guys keep complaining that fucking the franchise never kills people off. And then they finally kill a person off, and, oh no, they killed off a guy you didn't want killed off. It's just, like, is there no pleasing you people? Or did you just want, like, someone like Yamcha, the Muten Roshi, killed off? A character you don't personally give a shit about, So, so you don't have to feel any personal investment in the loss of a character's life. Is that what was going on? I don't know. But all I'm saying is that GT had the balls to kill people off. People say that they want characters killed off permanently in Dragon Ball. And then when the franchise actually has the balls to do it, oh, fuck GT for that. Right? You hypocrites. Honestly, though, I could go on, like, forever about the things I really like about GT. I mean, it has a fantastic ending. I think the last, like, 5 or 6 episodes of the Evil Dragons arc is just rock solid, great shit. Just forward momentum all the way to the end. I think there's a lot of great fan service moments in the Super 17 arc. I think 18's really awesome in that arc. I think, like Baby, like I said, he's a great character. The Baby arc is one of my absolute favorite arcs of the entire franchise. Like I thought, that's full of great ideas. I like Kid Goku. There's just so much I really appreciate about GT. Not saying GT is perfect. Jesus Christ, no. In fact, I won't even go so far as to say GT is a good series. GT has ideas that I really appreciate. GT is kind of weird and off the wall, which I kind of enjoy. GT has cool fucking transformations. Well, it has Super Saiyan 4, that's one cool transformation. And the Golden Uzaru. I like all of this. I like a lot of the things that it brings to the table. Execution-wise, it's a clusterfuck, and it's not that good. Like, there's a lot of issues with the Black Star Dragon Ball arc. The Super 17 arc leaves a lot to be desired, and the first half of the Evil Dragons arc is kind of a snore fest. But, like I said, there are great ideas, and, it does deliver in a lot of ways. And it's in those specific ways that it delivers that really resonate with me personally as a viewer, and that's why I really genuinely enjoy GT. Like I said, it's not perfect. If I were to review it on an episode-by-episode basis, I'd probably be tearing it. I'd probably tear, like, every other episode apart, but I could at least appreciate a lot of things that's bringing to the table, and I find it to be a really fun, entertaining series. So there you go. There's my great defense for GT. At some point, I'll do a more in-depth, deconstructive video on the topic in the future. But this is just kind of like my vloggy, get this shit out of my system, tell you guys what I think video for right now to hold you over until I eventually get to making the bigger, more detailed, more deconstructive video. So yeah, so until next time, guys, Zeon, out.